So I hope you're all having a great day, because today, I don't know, I am as well. It's not been a bad day. It's been quite an enjoyable day, a bit tired after being at the gym, but for the most part, I'm here, ready to make some slop content. And the slop of the day is some PlayStation Fanboy salt. I was considering doing Harmon Smith, my favorite boyfriend from Nintendo. One day, he will mention me. One day, he will respond to me. I hope. Eventually. But the big thing we need to talk about is how Sony is looking at the future of what they want to do with their games, and honestly, one of the big takeaways, at least how I perceived it, is how they blame you for them having really big budgets for their games and you not choosing to buy those games. I don't know, it kind of just felt like they were putting the blame on you, the consumer, for not buying those games, and them not really being smart with their budgets for games like God of War, Spider-Man, and a couple of other games, especially games like Concord. So let's move on to the information at hand so you can get a better understanding. So I was gonna go find the clip, but I don't want to go through Greg Miller's filthy streams and his little soy face. So I'm gonna say no to that, and you're just gonna have a look at this tweet with me. Former PlayStation Studios boss, Big Mate Yoshida, says fans should support remasters if they want first-party PS5 games. Single-player games now cost so much. They need to have additional income from doing remasters and porting to PC to be able to do that. See, I would really understand if they meant like remasters for their older games, like, you know, Killzone that hasn't really seen a modern installment for it, or just older franchises that they haven't really done remasters for. No, they do shit like fucking Last of Us 1 Remake and Last of Us 2 Remastered. Because clearly, that's what people want, not the older games that, you know, people grew up playing with PlayStation. Like, there are probably some older franchises that I really couldn't name besides Killzone that people want to play again. You put yourself in that situation of where people won't buy these remasters. Why would I buy the game again when you've already released it like 2 years ago in the case of Last of Us 2, and even then I'm not going to play Last of Us 2, I think that game smells. And then you make more unnecessary remasters like The Last of Us 1 or Remake or whatever it was. It's really just a big waste of time when you can pull a really big backlog of your older games and remaster, not even give them like complete graphics, just give them new lighting, better texture quality, and that's it. And you could probably make an easy couple million from that with ease, because people want to play those old games again. But instead you just do all your newer games that people have already played recently. Like, why would I buy Last of Us again when you just released it 2 years ago and now you're doing a remaster of it again? It's really stupid. And if you want to remaster other games with recent IPs that you now own, for example the Destiny IP, a lot of people are asking for a Destiny 1 remastered. You know, not like Bungie doesn't know that we want that. We've literally been asking for it for years now because Destiny 2 is kinda ass and we want to play, you know, Destiny 1 with the improvements of Destiny 2, with an actual reasonable gameplay experience, not absolute garbage like Destiny 2. That game scares me. God forbid you go in there as a new player in the modern day and absolutely suffer. And it really is disappointing to see that you own some of the IPs that I like when you could easily fix those up, remaster those old games, and just go straight at it, and give people what they want. It would make your life a lot easier instead of doing newer games that people have already experienced, and then you wonder why they either don't want to buy it again, or don't want to play it again because they've already played it recently. I'm sure there are many games that you have either forgotten about or don't really touch anymore that you could remaster and completely go again with making easy couples of millions of dollars from it. Maybe even hundreds of millions depending on the franchise. It's that simple. You don't need to put that much work into them. Just improve the gameplay aspects, the texture, the lighting, the audio, whatever else is needed, and then there you go. You have the products that would make you easy money, with very little work needed. And I know the remasters really weren't the big takeaway from that, and I'm kinda just talking about them a little too much, and that we should talk about the original releases of those games, and the big budgets that they're not willing to cut back on, or change up on, or, you know, better refine to reflect the game's vision. Like, why give them all this money when they may not even need it? Why spend $300 million on something like Spider-Man 2 when a lot of people didn't really like what you did by working with Sweet Baby Inc.? Or just go make more linear games with what you've made for those previous games. You could do a linear Spider-Man game. It may not feel too great depending on the movement systems and mechanics that you may use from the previous Spider-Man games, but you could use many other games. For example, in the case of the older Wolverine games, they were linear, they feel pretty good, they feel very nice, complete for a very short experience on those older platforms. You could do something like that instead of making these big open worlds that people may not completely explore. There's very many different ways that you can change up and change the vision of the game while still using the IP. Like, there are so many ways where you can work around and save money, and instead of just blaming the community for it, you just make a better game that, you know, is worth that money that you ask. I'm still not gonna pay $70 for a lot of these games, unless they're truly worthy of that experience, but then again, I just go to key sites to get most of my games now. So that's pretty much all the Sony lore that you need before we really start getting into the Salt, besides them cancelling a bunch of games as a service, which will be important for the piece of Salt that we're going to look at next, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just get started with the Salt. Our first tweet is from XVault Gaming. I'm glad the games as a service iterations are being cancelled. No one asked for them, and unfortunately, they will not be successful. Marvel Rivals has succeeded so far due to the Marvel IP, and Overwatch's continued downward spiral for the last couple of years. Well, XVault, I don't really have to say much, but I'll let this image do the talking. By the way, this you. I know every other content creator that has covered this has used this, and it was pretty obvious that this was coming if you've seen their previous videos, but yeah, it's kind of funny that you talk about these games not being successful while proceeding to buy multiple copies of Concord knowing full well that that game was not going to be successful. So that's a lot of big words coming from you, champ, but also, there turns out to be another thing that he said, and it's not really towards anyone or any game company, it's towards me. He said nothing, he blocked me. I found out the other day, and I don't know, I thought it was pretty funny, and I kind of enjoyed the fact that at least he knows that I exist and that I make fun of him. It brings me big amusement to realize that he suffers in my presence. I would also really appreciate it and beg of you to stop calling him a goddamn koala. We Australians don't want him. He sucks. He's too stupid, and I mean a koala is a good representation because if people don't know, they literally are stupid. You need to have the leaves attached to a branch for them to actually eat it. It may be a criminal sin for me to say this in the presence of the Holy Lord Steve Irwin, but I want that creature to go extinct. It's too stupid to live. You know, it makes more sense why you keep comparing him to a goddamn koala, but it's really annoying. We don't want him. We don't want him in our country. We don't even want anything to do with him. So stop calling him a koala. Just call him a retard. It would be much easier if you just said that. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'm very sorry that it was a very short video that didn't really contain much salt. There really wasn't anything that I found worthy of talking about, but our previous videos I think were good enough for the time being. But for the future videos, I am thinking of doing a video on Harmon Smith and another Reforge video where he responds to a couple of fulls again. But you know, we gotta dry that content out real quick. We gotta quickly use Reforge as much as possible. We gotta farm that revenue from him. But anyway, I got other stuff to do, like I have to go split some beehives, I've got around 150 to do, and it's around 3 different species that I have to account for. So for the next week or two, it's going to be pretty busy, but it shouldn't really affect the other videos like it will now. I need to get this stuff done pretty fast. I know, you get to learn a little bit about me and what I do for money. So that's pretty much it. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you on the next video. Again, I'm very sorry for the short video, but life can be like that sometimes. So I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.